All right, so today I am going to teach you guys how to launch a brand on Amazon, and we will be talking about launching your own online store as well. All right, but mainly it's how to beat Chinese sellers. I saw some questions in there already about what happens if someone drops their price. We're going to talk about all that stuff today. Okay, so this workshop's for you if you're interested in starting an e-commerce business. You need a little bit of a push to get started, and you want to be in control of your own destiny. E-commerce is great if you want to make money, I would say, within a year. And right now, actually, the economy is not that great, at least all around me in the Silicon Valley. Lots of people are losing their jobs. I think Google just laid off like 11,000 people here. So if you want to be in control of your own destiny, I would say e-commerce is the best way to do it within a year. So this workshop is going to teach you how to build a brand on and off Amazon. And just a quick thing about kind of like the philosophy for the way I teach. I already kind of talked about it a little bit already, but everything I teach is not a get rich quick scheme. I'm actually not a big fan of like some of the sensationalist titles here. The way I teach it, it's not about picking random products to sell and private label on Amazon or eBay. It's about creating a long-term branded business. So I'm not about like picking just random products, right, to sell. The goal is to create a brand, a lasting brand, and run it in such a way that it suits your lifestyle. So you can spend time doing things that you love or hanging out with the people that you love. And it's a business that allows you to set your own schedule, and it does not require a large staff or inventory. All right, so who am I? I've been running my online store over at bumblebeelinens.com. You guys are more than welcome to check out my store since 2007. It's a 7-figure business. I also sell on Amazon as well. I also run a top 25 e-commerce blog over at mywifequitherjob.com. I've been running this thing since 2009. I also run a top 25 podcast in the marketing section on all of iTunes over at My Wife Quit Her Job. And I also run an annual e-commerce conference called the Seller Summit. I've been running this for the past 7 years. If you guys ever want to hang out in person, the next one is May 23rd of this year. Come over and hang out. And I also run 2 training classes, one called ProfitableOnlineStore.com and the other one is called ProfitableAudience.com. So this is my shop. As I mentioned before, you guys are more than welcome to head on over there. I'm going to allude to this shop in this presentation because everything that I'm teaching you guys right now is implemented on my site. So if you want to see it in real time, obviously on your own time, as you're watching, you can click over to my site and check it out. It's bumblebeelinens.com. I've been featured on Forbes. I was also recently featured on CNBC. You guys can see all those things on YouTube as well. As I was actually on the Ashley Banfield show also, talk about e-commerce. And I was recently on CNN, Land of the Giants, Titans of Tech. We were covering Amazon. And you can find that, I believe, on Hulu. I always like to show off this store because this is my kids' store. They sell entrepreneurship t-shirts over at Kid in Charge. They're always happy when I mention their store. You can check that out over at kidincharge.com. Okay, this is the Seller Summit. This is an old slide. 2023 is actually May 23rd if you guys ever want to come and hang out. And let's talk about what we're covering today. We're going to be covering a lot of the questions that you guys asked in the live chat. We're going to go over how to find and evaluate profitable products to sell, where to find wholesale vendors online, import goods from China, and then we're going to talk about how to beat Chinese sellers on Amazon by building a brand and an audience. And then we're also going to talk about how to drive external traffic to your listings. All right, so just a couple fundamentals here. Here are just some keys to small business success. In general, you don't want to be competing against the big box stores, right? So you don't want to be selling a product that's can be readily found in brick and mortar stores. Instead, you want to focus on their weaknesses. Larger stores like the Walmarts or the Targets of the world, they have supply issues because they have to fill all these brick and mortar stores with product. And in general, it's not economical for them to carry a large quantity or a large variety of goods unless there's significant demand. Like you'll never see Target carry like 50 variations of like, I don't know, step stools or something like that. They focus on the hot mainstream products, and it doesn't make sense for them to focus on products that only apply to a smaller group of people. So this is a picture of my wife on our wedding day. And the reason why I'm showing you this picture of my wife is because she likes to cry. And so at our wedding, she knew she was going to cry. And we had spent a lot of money on photography. And so she wanted to dry her tears with a handkerchief and not like some ratty tissues. Problem is, we looked all over the place for handkerchiefs in the United States and we couldn't find any. And so we looked all over the place. The only place that we could find handkerchiefs was this place in China, but it was a factory. So what ended up happening is we ended up, I think the minimum order quantity was like 200. We ended up ordering 200. We used maybe 6 or so for our wedding, and then we sold the rest on eBay. And they ended up selling like hotcakes. So fast forward 3 years later, when my wife became pregnant with our first child, she told me she wanted to quit her job. And where we live, it's pretty expensive, Silicon Valley. Someone here was from SF. You guys know what I'm talking about here. In order to get a good house in a good school district, you pretty much need 2 incomes. And so since my wife wanted to quit, she was making 6 figures at the time. We kind of went through our heads and thought about different products that we could sell. And then we remembered this handkerchiefs from our wedding. So we got back in touch with that vendor, and that is how we launched our store over at bumblebeelinens.com. This store ended up making 6 figures in profit in our first year of business, and it's grown in the double and triple digits ever since. And today it is a 7-figure business. Okay. And as I mentioned before, we're selling both on Amazon and our online store. And if you were to ask me about the split in revenue, it's about 70-30, where 70% is coming from my own branded store and only 30% is coming from Amazon. Let's talk about e-commerce today. You guys are probably familiar with Amazon already, but you have to know that you don't have to carry inventory. Amazon FBA will handle all that stuff for you. You don't necessarily need to start a website or be technical to sell online. If all you guys want to do is sell on Amazon, that's perfectly fine. But just keep in mind that Amazon doesn't really care about you, and Amazon is pretty cutthroat and competitive. I'm also going to show you, hopefully, that it's really easy to find vendors and vet them without having to travel. And importing goods from a factory in China, for example, it's actually not that expensive, and it's pretty easy to do. And you can launch your e-commerce store and run it from anywhere in the world. You don't have to live in the US. And that's a good thing, because it seems like a lot of you guys here are not from the US. All right, so here's my recommended strategy I'm going to teach you guys today. I'm going to teach you how to find a product to sell that has high profit margins. I'm teach you how to find ways to improve that product and make it your own. I'm going to teach you how to import those products at low prices, sell on your own website as well as Amazon, and learn how to drive external traffic to your products and build a brand. It's a lot to cover in an hour, but I just want to show you some of my student websites. One of my students, Abby, she started vivianlu.com. This is a store that sells high-heeled inserts. You can go over to her site right now. She sells a single product and she makes over 3 million. And this product isn't even on Amazon. She makes it strictly on her own website through Facebook ads. Another one of my students, Ron, he started Sunny Decals. It's a 7-figure business that sells decals, but these aren't ordinary decals. These are fabric wall decals that are non-toxic and removable. And I believe he sells some amount of his products on Amazon as well. Sally's from the UK. I noticed some of you guys are from the UK. It's actually a 7-figure store now. She sells her own cross-stitch supplies over at caterpillarcrossstitch.com. Sippy, some of you guys want to sell clothing. I think I saw someone who wanted to sell clothing. A bunch of students in my class actually sell clothing. And that's actually pretty hard to do on Amazon. It's much easier, in my opinion, to do on your own store. She makes 6 figures selling maternity wear over at Hava Tribe. Amanda, she's one of my most successful students. She makes 7 figures selling party invitations that she designs herself over at amandacreation.com and Amazon. All right, it seems like a lot of you guys in the chat earlier you guys were asking about how to find the right product. And so that's what we're going to go through right now. A couple of things from the mindset perspective. You got to think about product research as an iterative process. You don't want to overthink it, and you don't want to get stuck on the analysis paralysis phase for so long. Otherwise, you're going to be paralyzed. And oftentimes, you're not going to know for sure that something's going to sell unless you actually try to sell it. Now, I'm just going to be upfront with you guys. Chances are you're not going to hit a home run on your first try. But if you follow the directions that I'm about to explain to you, you almost always get a base hit. Okay. And the way most people build up their e-commerce businesses is they have a whole bunch of base hits, and then maybe occasionally they'll hit a home run. All right. And in the event that you end up choosing a dud, I'm also going to talk about how you can liquidate your products, and avoid losing money. Okay, let me get a quick drink before we go over product guidelines here. Okay, so let's just talk about some product guidelines here. I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of a beginner. Once you're a little bit more advanced, you don't have to follow these guidelines, but the more that you can follow, the easier your life is going to be. So in an ideal world, the products should not be fragile and easy to ship. I mean, we're starting an e-commerce business here. You don't want things breaking in the mail. The products should not take up too much physical space. And in general, like if you're selling on Amazon, I recommend starting with standard size products, which means that it should be able to fit in a shoebox. And most importantly, the product's inherent value should be ambiguous. So you want to avoid selling other people's brands, and you want to avoid products that are just kind of readily available in brick and mortar stores that we talked about earlier. This is also something pretty important. The product should not be timeless and go obsolete. Oftentimes people will sign up for my class and they'll want to sell like cell phone cases or smartphone cases. And you realize that if you do something like that, that smartphone case that you're selling is going to be obsolete in like 6 months or so. And that puts a lot of time pressure on you, which you don't need. You always want to sell goods that sell from 20 to 200 bucks. You want to avoid seasonal goods if possible. Like I wouldn't sell Halloween costumes, for example. But most importantly, if you want to succeed on Amazon, you need to have products that sell for at least a 66% margin, which basically means that if the product costs you 10 bucks, you need to be able to sell it for 30 at a minimum, I would say. Now, here's just some nice to have guidelines. And these guidelines are more important when you have your own online store. So if you sell a product that has many related products you can expand into or accessories, then you can easily cross-sell into other accessories once you get that first sale. Anything that lends itself to customers ordering more than one is great. Anything that can be personalized is great. This is a picture of our personalized handkerchiefs that we sell for like $25. And these handkerchiefs cost us like $1 each, sometimes less than $1. So our margins are incredible. And because the personalization adds value, that's how we were able to charge such high prices. And most of the time, brides will order for their entire bridal party and the groomsmen as well. Here are just some nice to have also. Consumable products. If you have something that can be, every 30 days, like if you sell pet products, for example, they'll be coming back over and over and over again. If you can sell something that has enthusiast or a hobby focused following, that's great because you know where your customers live. So for example, if I were to sell fishing supplies, I know where fishing people hang out. There's a bunch of Facebook groups for fishermen. And any product that lends itself to content creation is great. We rank and search for almost all of our key product keyword terms, and we do that through content. So let's talk about brainstorming. It's a bunch of different ways to get product ideas. You can look on Pinterest. You can look on Etsy. Actually, incidentally, Etsy is actually one of my favorite places to look also, because most of the people on Etsy aren't looking to like expand their business or scale it. You can look at the Amazon bestsellers. You can use a tool like Longtail Pro or Ahrefs to see what people are searching for on Google. You can use a tool called Terapeak to see how well an item is selling on eBay. We only have an hour today, so I'm just going to show you a couple of ways using Amazon tools that have been very successful with my students. Okay, so when you're brainstorming possible products to sell, you want to gather as many product ideas as possible for comparison. All right, so this is what I always do. I just have a spreadsheet, and it just has 4 columns: the item name, the selling price, the product cost, and then what your margins are. Remember, your goal is to achieve a 66% margin. I'm going to show you how to use a couple of tools today. I'm going to show you how to use Alibaba, which is a search engine for Chinese vendors. Show you how to use Amazon.com. Hopefully you guys know how to use Amazon already. And I'm going to show you how to use the AMZ Scout research tool. Okay, let's continue on with product research. All right, so this is the AMZ Scout tool. And I actually recommend using tools as kind of like a last resort. When you're thinking about products to sell, you always want to think about your own problems. Like when we came up with handkerchiefs, that was like our own problem that we had to solve. Or you want to sell something that you're very knowledgeable in. So an example that I always give is like I play Ultimate Frisbee. I've been playing for 25 years. Like I can think of a bunch of products offhand because Ultimate is not like a well-served industry, but I know there's certain products that potentially could develop. I would say though that if you have no idea what you want to sell and you just need someone or something to jumpstart the creative juices, that's where a tool like AMZ Scout comes in handy. So what AMZ Scout is it's a tool that basically scrapes every listing on Amazon, and you can query that database to give you product ideas based on specific parameters. All right, so this is what the product database looks like. And these are just kind of some of the filters I use to first order. Like I always set the estimated sales to at least 150. AMZ Scout will also rate each one of these products. It'll give it a rating from 1 to 10. So I always say, just give me a rating of 5 or above. It's got to sell for at least 20 bucks and have less than 200 reviews. So just to be clear, the number of reviews on Amazon is kind of like a measure of the maturity of a listing. In general, the less reviews, the better. Then you click on Find Products. And what will happen is AMZ Scout will return to you a set of products that meets your criteria for sales, revenue, whatever filters you actually specified. Now, the way I do it is I just go down, and my cursor isn't working here. Let me hit Find Products again here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. As I look down, and I immediately rule out anything that's branded. And so like Yu-Gi-Oh, I wouldn't sell anything with Yu-Gi-Oh. I wouldn't sell anything from Igloo because that's a brand. And I'm basically looking for products that I might potentially want to sell or products that I might potentially be able to improve. And I'm also looking for products that don't necessarily have like a dominating brand. All right. So I probably wouldn't sell cups or anything like that because that's too commonplace. A hammock, maybe, but hammocks are kind of commonplace. I'm looking for something a little esoteric, like Ziploc bag organizers. That's pretty esoteric. So that might be something that I might do further research on. I tend to recommend like staying away from clothing personally, because clothing, you have to deal with sizes and you have to deal with designs, and it can get expensive really quick. Plus, I think the return rate on Amazon for clothing is like something like 20%. Kids waterproof bed pad, maybe that might be something. Basically, you want to just kind of go down this list, and this is giving you just some ideas, and you just kind of want to write them down. And once you've come up with one, and I actually did this exercise about 30 minutes before this webinar, and I came up with wooden pegboards. That was one of the items that I found on here. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to run through a complete example with wooden pegboards for you. All right, so let's say you want to sell wooden pegboards. You're not sure if it's going to be profitable or not. So the first thing that you do is you go on Amazon and you do a search for wooden pegboards. All right, and a whole bunch of results will show up. And then you use the AMZ Scout tool here. It's the Chrome plugin. And it will tell you approximately how much each of the items on the front page are making. It'll tell you the number of reviews. And here's what I specifically look for. All right, so I look for reviews in like the low hundreds. Okay, so it looks like here there's a lot of listings here that have less than 100 reviews, which is great. And I also look for an even distribution of revenue. I don't want like one seller like stealing all the sales. So it looks like a whole bunch of these guys on the front page, looks like most of them are making at least, $4,000 or $5,000. There's a couple stragglers here, but there's some people that make a lot of money here. And so far it's passing the eye check. All right, and it looks like the average selling price is 64 bucks. By the way, you want to go specifically here product by product to make sure that every single product is a pegboard that kind of matches what you're planning on selling. But it looks like the average selling price is about 64 bucks. Now the next step is you want to find out what you could potentially get it for. All right, so you just go on Alibaba and you just type in pegboards, and you just go down and you look, and you'll notice that a lot of these items here are pretty much exactly the same as the ones that you're seeing on Amazon here, right? These wooden pegboards here. Like this one looks almost exactly like this one here. Okay, so you just get an idea here. It looks like you can get these pegboards anywhere from, I don't know, looks like $10 to $50 depending on what it is. Like this is like a shelf. So maybe this is like the best representation, like this one or this one. So we're looking at like maybe 10 bucks for kind of like a small pegboard, similar to what's being sold here. These are all kind of small pegboards. Okay. So just incidentally, these prices on Alibaba aren't always accurate. Like if you contact them. They might give you a different price, but it's a good gauge to see approximately how much this is going to cost you. Now, keep in mind that this is the price of the vendor in China, right? It does not take into account shipping, and it does not take into account customs duties or freight or anything like that. So in order to figure out whether it's viable, like it might cost us $10 here, but after shipping and everything, you need to figure out, what your actual final cost is. So how do you figure that out? Well, first you need to figure out whether there's any customs duties on that item. So for these pegboards, the one I wanted to sell was metal. So I'll send you guys some resources how you can figure this out. But there's a whole bunch of tools out there. Just type in duty rate calculator on Google, and it will basically, you enter in what you're trying to sell, and it'll tell you what the duty rate is. So for this particular item here, there's actually no duty rate. So it's 0%. And so what do you do with that number? Well, I plug it into my handy dandy real cost of goods calculator, which I'll give you guys access to this if you want. This is a tool that I developed that will give you a pretty good estimate of what your true landed cost of goods are, depending on what the customs duty rate is. So in this case, I just entered in a cost of $10, ordering 1,000 units, duty rate of 0. And it's telling me that I can buy these for $10, but it's going to cost me about $10.90 landed at these quantities. This is just an approximation. So you should never take this number as gospel. If you want the actual number, you need to contact a freight forwarder, but this is a pretty good estimate for your calculations. Okay, so this is going to be the cost landed at my warehouse, including sea shipping. By the way, all the rates for sea shipping are back to normal. They were really high during the pandemic, but all shipping rates are pretty much back to normal today. Okay, and then after that, we do some math. Okay, I know the average price, according to AMZ Scout, was $64. But before this, I went through the exercise and I just eliminated all the items that didn't match exactly what I was trying to sell on Amazon. And I found that the approximate price was $50 on Amazon. I can buy these for $10 in bulk. The true landed cost is $10.90. And that makes the margin about 78%. Okay, that's assuming I sell the exact same pegboard that's being offered on Alibaba. All right, but you don't want to sell the exact same thing on Amazon that's already on Alibaba. You want to make improvements to it because if you're going to put your own brand on something, you want to make sure that you sell something that's the best, even if it costs you a little bit more money. So I would go back and I would look at the 2- and 3-star reviews and see what people are complaining about. All right, so number one, people were complaining that these pegboards were not really metal. They were made out of plastic and they cracked really easily. So guess what? First things first, I'm going to make mine metal. Okay. The other complaint was that these were really hard to install. And so I think people were complaining like you need 2 people to install it. Maybe what I would do is I would ship these boards with maybe some command strips so that you could actually mount it on the wall and then drill it in for easy mounting. But mostly people are just complaining that it was made out of cheap stuff, right? That was breakable. All right. So I would totally go and spend that extra margin. So we have a margin of about 78%. I would probably spend, 12% of that margin and make something better. All right. So make it metal, make it easier to install, and include better instructions. That way I can list it on Amazon saying, hey, this is a high quality metal pegboard that will not break and it's easy to install. I probably filmed some sort of video too, showing the installation process to show how easy it is. And the final step is to check eBay. Usually I use a tool called Terapeak to do this, which is free with any eBay account. But you can just go on eBay, look at the completed listings, and see how these are selling on eBay. Now, the great thing about looking on eBay is that these sales are real sales, right? You have the real numbers, unlike tools, Amazon tools, which are only approximations. Anything you can find on eBay is real. And I found that eBay, like these pegboards are actually selling on eBay for between $45 and $60 with a lot of completed listings. Okay. So do this for at least 20 to 30 products. This exact process I just showed you. Throw out anything that doesn't yield a 66% margin. Throw out anything that doesn't sell for at least $20. And then what you want to do is you want to just pick maybe 1 to 3 of these products to focus on in the beginning. And if you're just starting out on a low budget, I would say just focus on one product. You can get by with one product, just like my student who started, Vivian Liu, and she makes $3 million selling one product. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to talk briefly about where to find suppliers. A lot of different ways. I mean, I showed you Alibaba just now, but there's a lot of other places that you can look as well. My favorite place to find products actually is to just go to the Canton Fair. I know the Canton Fair is opening up again this year. It is by far the fastest way to just get vendors because they're all congregated in the same place. I could go to the Canton Fair and pick up like 20 vendors in the span of 2 days. Whereas if I go through the Alibaba route, by the time you go back and forth with samples, it can be like 3 weeks or a month. So if you can travel and it's opened up now, I would encourage you to do that. Global Sources is around the same time. You can hit both shows in one go. Alibaba and Global Sources are actually, if you don't want to travel, those are pretty good ways too. And then there's Panjiva and Import Genius, which allows you to browse the import records to find out where your competitors or which factories your competitors are using. So those are just a couple ways to do it. I mean, you don't have to use Alibaba if you don't want to. All right, so let's just summarize everything I just taught you up to this point. You want to use a tool called AMZ Scout to research profitable products to sell if you are stuck. Again, remember, the best products to sell are ones that basically scratch your own itch or where you have some sort of unfair advantage. Like I have a friend who wants to sell textiles from India and he has relatives there, which makes the whole process easier. Anytime, you can get some sort of unfair advantage, I would take advantage of it. Use sites like Alibaba or Global Sources to find a supplier where you can get margins of 66%. Make sure you buy a sample of what you plan on selling before you place a bulk order. And then once you're ready to place that bulk order, always hire an inspection company to inspect the goods in China before they are shipped, because by the time you have it shipped, by the time it reaches the US, it's too late, or your home country, because it'll be way too expensive to ship it back. Okay, the next step is to just take some of these products and list them on Amazon. I'm not going to go through like the intricacies of creating a high converting Amazon listing. You can probably watch another webinar for that. But you want to create a listing, use Amazon FBA because the conversion rate is higher for FBA, and then just start getting some reviews as quickly as you can. I tend to use Amazon Vine to get my first like 25 to 30 reviews. And then I always start out by running Amazon pay-per-click ads to build some sales velocity whenever I launch a product. I also use my email list whenever I launch a product as well, which is something that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. All right, so you've listed something on Amazon. And here's what you need to realize about Amazon. And someone just in the live chat just mentioned that it's really competitive to find good products for Amazon. And I would agree with that statement. You guys have probably noticed this. Amazon's been courting Chinese sellers since 2015. And 46% of the, actually, I think it's 50% of the sellers now are based in China. And they make up almost 50% of the top brands. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to China. I used to go every other year for these fairs. They literally have trade shows every week. Well, they haven't because of COVID, but back in the day, they had shows every single week training Asian sellers to list stuff on Amazon. And because they're like, oftentimes they're like the factory owners as well, Amazon made it really easy for them to list their stuff. Okay. And they also have end-to-end ocean freight solutions. If you guys have heard of Amazon Global Logistics, basically, it's, if you guys haven't noticed already, it's been flooded with Chinese sellers for quite some time. Not only that, they play dirty. They'll sell counterfeit merchandise. I have numerous podcast interviews from colleagues who were knocked off, and Amazon didn't really do much about it. They'll pay for reviews. A lot of them have hundreds of accounts. They violate guidelines. Amazon's been trying to crack down on these, but it still happens. It still happens. And so that's why you really need to establish a brand. I remember earlier, a bunch of you guys were asking about what happens if someone undercuts me in price. Well, I mean, on Amazon, to be frank, there's not much you can do about it, right? Because every item on Amazon looks the same. The brand is like in this tiny font, right, on Amazon. So let's talk about establishing a brand, really. Establishing a brand, like the word brand is thrown around a lot. But what does it really mean? And how do you actually establish one? Well, to answer that question about people undercutting you in price, Well, once you have a brand, the price doesn't really matter as much. So for example, the other day I was looking for a coding book, and I know for a fact that I like buying O'Reilly books for coding. So there were at least 20 books on how to code in Python, but I bought the O'Reilly book because I like the O'Reilly brand. I recently bought a set of microphones, like these mini ones, and I always buy Rode. Whenever I get PCs, I go with Dell. Are there other companies that sell the exact same products? Absolutely. But I don't care because I go with my brand. And if you think about it today, almost everything is a commodity. Almost everything's a commodity, right? Clothing, handkerchiefs, towels, everything's a commodity. What will set you apart is your brand. And that's really the only way to compete today. All right. And when people throw around the word brand, it's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that happens overnight. In the beginning, like you'll put your name on a product, you'll get it trademarked. Great. No one's ever heard of it before, right? And the brand in the beginning isn't really going to help you much. But the reason why I had the snowball here is because over time, with the techniques I'm about to show you in the second half of this presentation, over time, your brand kind of builds. And then once you have this brand that's better well known, then it makes you a lot less price sensitive. The other thing, hopefully, that I'll try to convince you is that it's almost impossible to start a brand on Amazon. They don't care about you. They only care about their stock price. They can raise prices. They just recently raised the price of FBA. All right. They hide all the customer information from you so you can't get repeat business, incidentally, which is the lifeblood of any business. And they'll actually compete against you. They will private label your product if it's popular, and they will compete against you. So here's why I always teach it the way I do. You should sell on Amazon for cash flow, but then use that cash flow to start your own website as soon as you can. So I'm not saying don't sell on Amazon. You should be selling on as many different platforms as possible. But treat Amazon as just cash flow, because it's going to be really hard to establish a brand on Amazon. Okay, I'm going to talk about my site here for a little bit. If you look on Amazon right now, there's probably hundreds of sellers selling what we sell. But if you notice, our products, we're actually priced more expensive than them. But I don't care. These days, I think there's a statistic that 70% of the people who shop on Amazon actually look at the brand website before making a purchase, because there's very little trust today since there's so much Chinese junk on Amazon. So that's why you need to have your website also. So I'm going to talk about how to build a brand, doing it the gradual way, using what I call life cycle marketing. So what is life cycle marketing? It is a strategy where you manage communications with your customer throughout their entire purchase journey. And notice you can't do this on Amazon. You have to do this on your own site. The different parts of the journey include discovery of your brand, interest in your products, the first purchase, and then repeat purchases and brand loyalty. Again, it's a gradual process. I'm going to talk to you about my store real quick. We're in the wedding industry. We sell wedding handkerchiefs. That implies you would think that people would only buy once from us and never again. But in fact, our repeat customer rate is 12%. And this 12% of customers actually represents 36% of our revenues. So every single year, 36% of our revenue is already in the bag. Our top 10% of customers yield 51% of revenue, and our top 20% of customers yield 67% of revenues. And those are our best customers. You can't really get repeat business on Amazon consistently. So we've been talking about brand, like how do you measure how strong your brand is? Well, the way I do it is I look for branded searches on Google. Like how many people are typing in Bumblebee Linens in Google every year? That rate continues to rise every single year in the double digits. And the reason why people are typing in our brand is through what I'm going to be teaching you today. We do content marketing, we do email marketing, we do SMS marketing, we do retargeting, and we do social media. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to teach you about email and SMS because those are the most important factors. The only way to establish a brand is to bring people back to your website over and over and over and over again so that you keep your brand in their mind so that when they're ready to buy, they're going to buy from you. And the beauty of having an email list is you can actually drive targeted traffic to your Amazon listings when it comes time to launch a new product. You can drive traffic to your website. You can get repeat sales. You can ask for reviews. It's a little gray hat, but when someone buys from Amazon, we'll send out an email saying, hey, would you leave a review? I mean, we don't directly incentivize them, but we kind of indirectly do, because Amazon can't find out when it's your own list. You can tell your brand story, which is something that we do. And most importantly, you don't have to depend on all of your sales coming from Amazon, because this is something that you control. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some quick ways to build up an email list. So let's talk about building an email list quickly. The way I like to do it is I run Messenger giveaways. And the reason why I like doing it through Messenger is because you can run these in an evergreen fashion, and the delivery of the product and everything is completely automated. You don't have to select a winner by hand and then email the recipient and all that stuff. The way I run it in Messenger, it's completely self-serve. And the best part is that the cost per subscriber is actually cheaper than using like a traditional landing page method. There's also less friction in grabbing an email, because Facebook already knows the email address of its user, and it's already pre-populated. I'll show you some examples in a little bit. And then you can use these lists generated from giveaways to generate sales, launch products, and get reviews. All right, so let me just give you like a brief overview how it works. So typically we give away something from our store every single day. Usually we give away a personalized handkerchief, and no one's going to enter a giveaway for a personalized handkerchief unless they want the item. This isn't like the other giveaways that you guys hear about online where you're giving away like an iPad and you get a whole bunch of junk addresses. No, we actually give away products in our store. So if they enter the giveaway, then they actually want the products that we sell, or the family of products that we sell. So this is what an ad might look like. Hey, we're giving a free personalized handkerchief every day for the next 30 days. Just write a custom message. You can write a custom message on the handkerchief, enter for a chance to win. Winners are selected every single day automatically. When a user clicks on this ad, they're taken to Facebook Messenger. And from there, a chatbot handles all the logistics for the contest, chooses a winner, and handles the reward redemption. In other words, the entire giveaway is on autopilot, and you can start it and stop it at any time. This is too complicated for me to go through, so let me just walk you through. I think I have slides to walk you through it. Okay, all right. So this is a giveaway where we gave away monogram cocktail napkins. So just pretend that you clicked on the ad. The first message that comes up in Messenger is, hey, are you looking to enter our free monogram linen napkin giveaway? They click yes. And then it says, okay, great. In order to finish entering the giveaway, simply click on your email below. This email here is pre-populated, so all they have to do is tap it. Like if you're on your phone, all they do is tap it. There's no typing involved. Then it says, great, you entered our giveaway. We'll be announcing the winner tomorrow via Messenger. But in the meantime, here's a surprise welcome gift. And we give a pretty big coupon off the product that's similar. In this case, we gave 30% off our blank cocktail napkins. Okay. So usually what ends up happening is the sales that we get from these cocktail napkins pays for the cost of the ad. Okay, so that way we're constantly generating leads, and we might be breaking even or making a little bit of money, but the whole point is to get leads and build up your list. Okay, then the bot automatically selects a winner 24 hours later. And you can weight the odds however you want. But in general, we try to give people like a 50-50 chance of winning or something like that. And it says, okay, in this case, we didn't win, and we give them a consolation prize of a coupon over in our store. Okay, and again, these sales that we're getting from these coupons will hopefully pay for the cost of the ad. It takes a little bit of tweaking to get right, but once you have it, you have this lead generating machine that you can run on autopilot. All the prizes are self-serve. So let's say the person won the contest. They are given a link where there's a special page in our store where they can actually redeem the prize for $0 and check out. What do you do with these people that actually sign up for your list? We put them on a special giveaway flow. All right. So first of all, we thank them for entering the giveaway. Then we give them a free gift. And then we basically tell our brand story and all this stuff. And what's nice is that as they're going down the list, you're also getting sales for your online store. And this all stems from the fact that you're giving away a product that you actually sell. So people are actually interested in your product when they enter the giveaway, so that the sales or the cross sales that you do in your email autoresponder sequence actually convert. Now, depending on the offer, I get about 50 to 86 cents per messenger email combo for a cold audience. And again, it takes a little bit of tweaking here. But what's beautiful about this, as these giveaways are evergreen, like you don't have to do anything. And if you decide to stop the giveaway, you just click stop. And that's it. You can start and stop it whenever you want. Okay. You can also use this flow to launch Amazon products and ask for reviews. Maybe I'll go over that a little bit, but that's kind of gray hat because you're not supposed to do that. If you guys are interested, I can go over a little bit. Most of you guys who are in the Amazon space know that a very popular site called Rebate Key recently got taken down. They got taken down, I think, like late last year. And Amazon basically said, like, rebates, don't do them. I would say that you should never, ever use a third-party rebate service ever because it leaves a footprint. And this is gray hat, what I'm about to tell you guys, but a lot of people are still doing it. That's all I have to say. If you use ManyChat and a messenger bot to provide rebates, you can get a full price sale, an email address, sometimes an SMS number, and a review all at the same time. And the buyer gets a free product. You can't do this in the EU, but this works in the US. Okay, here is a rebate promotion we ran for our personalized aprons. So it's just an ad. They click on it and they say, hey, thank you for your interest. As promised, we'll reimburse the entire cost of the aprons to your PayPal account so you can try them for free. Are you interested? You click yes. Then you provide very specific instructions on how to purchase the product on Amazon. So literally we'll have them go and when you click buy on Amazon, it'll actually take them to our brand page. Then we had them do a search for mother-daughter apron. And we're the only mother-daughter apron on our own brand page, of course. Then they purchase the product, and then they come back and they click get reimbursed. They enter in, like, this is where we get their email, their SMS, and all that stuff. And then their order number, we have them send the receipt, the order number, and then we just reimburse. It all goes to a spreadsheet automatically through ManyChat, and then we just reimburse them via PayPal. That's it. But at this point, we have their email, we have a full price sale, and we have their SMS number as well. This is all automated, again, completely on autopilot. You can also ask for a review too. I think that's a little gray hat, but again, you can do that as well. Another way to do it is just run a coupon ad. A lot of people do this. This is not black hat or gray hat at all. You just give out a coupon, you get a subscriber, a messenger subscriber, and you make a sale at the same time. This isn't as good because it's a discounted sale, which isn't weighted as heavily, but you still get email addresses. Here's an example with a mother-daughter apron. Please click your email below and we'll send you your 30% off coupon. Once again, you just tap your email, which is pre-populated because Facebook knows your email. And then we give them a coupon code that's valid today only. So the way we do this one is we have a whole spreadsheet of single-use coupons. So that way, like, for some reason, like when you issue a coupon on Amazon, like if you were to use like a multiple-use coupon, like the coupon gets posted on some deal site and then you end up getting a whole bunch of discounted sales. So the way I always do it carefully, I always have a whole spreadsheet of coupons when I do this. So this tool will automatically go line by line down your spreadsheet and pick the next coupon and present it to the person. Okay, so we just, once again, give them instructions. We have them click to go to the brand page, do a search for mother-daughter aprons, use the coupon, and make a purchase. And then later, if you want, you can ask for a review. Okay? So that's a quick way to get email and SMS subscribers if you're willing to pay the money. If you tweak the offer correctly, the amount of money that you make throughout the offer and the autoresponder sequence will pay for the cost of the ad. Takes some tweaking, though. Okay? All right, let's talk about content marketing. Content marketing and Google search represents about 25% of our revenue. All right, and what you want to do, strategy is fairly simple. You just want to create content that your target audience is searching for. And then you want to get people to sign up for your email list, SMS, and push notifications. Then once you have their email, you want to steer them towards products that you sell in your store. And then, market to your email list, email them regularly, and build up your brand. Okay, so here's a article that I recently wrote. I was targeting the keyword gifts for the bride, and now we actually rank #1 for this. So this is a tool called Ahrefs. It tells you how many searches per month that bride gifts is getting, and it's getting 4,700 searches per month. And this number here is a number from 0 to 100 that tells you how likely you are to rank in Google search. Like how hard is it to rank that keyword? So anything that's in the green here is pretty easy to rank in search. So we decided to write an article about bride gifts. Okay. Lo and behold, we started ranking number 1 with it. And it's actually an article with purchase intent. People don't search for this unless they're looking for bridal gifts. And guess what? In this article, the first 3 products are products from our store. Also, there's a pop-up form where we give away a free arts and crafts book for weddings to get people's emails. But more often than not, they're going to see our first 3 products. Sometimes they go make a purchase. Sometimes we get an email. And then sometimes they leave. But the point is this is free traffic. The tool is called Ahrefs. This is just an example of the tool. You'll notice like the first item under bridal gifts is a personalized handkerchief. Surprise, surprise. For the remaining products, by the way, we actually use the Amazon affiliate links to complementary products that people might buy. So we're making affiliate revenue at the same time as well. All right, so meanwhile, I don't want to get too complicated here and confuse you, but if you guys want to go to Bumblebee Linens, you can see all this stuff in action. We also try to get push notifications where you can actually drop messages directly into someone's browser. We also offer these guides, like we sell linen napkins. We also we sell linen napkins, and people want to know how to fold them. So we offer a free napkin linen folding guide in return for like an email address. These content pages attract a lot of traffic. So napkin folding, I believe, is what the keyword we targeted for this particular guide. All right, but once you have their email, what you want to do is you want to email them at least once a week. And again, when you get someone's email, they might not be ready to buy from you right away, but you have to talk to them regularly so that when they're ready to buy, they think about your store. So we have emails that talk about our brand story, why we're the best, recommended products. We tell like stories about why we started it. There's like a funny story in there about like how I used paper napkins once when I prepared a nice dinner for my wife. You know, just things that basically humanize your company, really. And this is an example of, I can't remember what month this was now, but this pre-purchase sequence typically makes, you know, $25,000 to $30,000 a month just through email. And again, if you do it right, email should represent about 30 to 50% of your sales for a typical e-commerce store. One thing I noticed when I teach my class is that people are afraid to email their customers because they're worried that, you know, you're going to be annoying people. Well, just think about it this way. You're not annoying them because they signed up to get your email. So that means they want your emails. And I'm just going to tell you a quick story. As I mentioned before, 30% of our revenue is from email. 18% comes from the automated campaigns like abandoned cart, the pre-purchase sequence, a post-purchase sequence. We didn't talk about all these campaigns here because we don't have enough time, but I have all these automated flows basically for email that automatically get people to buy. Let me just give you a quick example. If someone buys, so we sell 3 different types of napkins in our store: cocktail napkins, tea napkins, and dinner napkins. If someone buys cocktail napkins but not tea napkins, we automatically send out an email that advertises the type of napkins that they didn't buy. This is all automated. You set it up once, and then it's just set it and forget it. Again, you can't do this on Amazon. You can only do this on your own site. And then the other 12% comes from just sending broadcast campaigns that we send out once every week. Now, whenever you have a sale, I'll just give you an example of why you should never be afraid to send emails. Whenever we have a sale, we literally send out emails 6 times. We announce the sale on the first day. On the 3rd day, we resend to non-opens. In the middle of the promotion, we send out an email that says the sale's ending soon. Then we resend to non-opens. And then on the last day, we send out an email. And then sometimes the next day, if it's doing really well, we'll extend the sale 1 day. Right? During Christmas, we literally email people every single day for 12 days straight, offering them a different flash sale. And what you'll notice here is that every single email makes money, and the spam rate is really low. Again, because people actually want your emails. I kind of already talked about this a little bit, but once someone makes a purchase, you want to continue emailing them. So typically, I already gave you that cross-sell example with the napkins, but I ask for reviews. I'll show off new products. I'll ask for testimonials. I'll ask people to take a survey in return for a coupon. But most importantly, we tend to target large customers, and we also have a loyalty program. Okay, this is the cocktail napkin example that I just talked about. This email automatically goes out if someone bought cocktail napkins, but not tea napkins or dinner napkins. We also run Facebook ads. I know a lot of you guys are probably like squeamish about running ads. These are the easiest types of ads to run. You can actually run ads to Facebook, upload your catalog, and Facebook will automatically display ads to your past customers and show them products depending on what they bought. Because if you run Facebook ads for a while, Facebook knows what your customers like and what they buy. And this is like a really high converting ad that's just kind of set it and forget it. It relies on machine learning. This is just a typical email we'll send when someone makes a purchase, where we ask for a review. And again, you can do this with Amazon products as well, automagically in an autoresponder sequence. Okay, this is why 12% of our customers make up 36% of our revenues. What we do is we go through our customer list and we find our best customers. Because we know that if someone's buying like 40 dozen napkins, chances are they aren't a normal customer, right? So we go through and we find people who have bought a normally large amount of linens, and then we call them on the phone because we have their contact information. We're not selling on Amazon for this, right? So we call them up and we say, here's a coupon code, here's a dedicated rep, and we'll make sure that whatever you buy makes it to the destination. Like we'll put someone to actually personally handle your order. And the result is that these people who are usually wedding and event planners are customers of ours for life because of that extra added little human touch. This could never, ever occur on Amazon. We also have a loyalty program. You guys are probably familiar with this. It operates similar to the airlines, except we give away free products for points. It might be a little bit overwhelming. I would say when you're first starting out, just do email. That's it. Sign up with an email marketing provider and then just choose one method of lead generation to start with and just stick with it. It could be coupons, it could be a giveaway, it could be rebates, it could be content creation. Whatever it is, just pick one and do it well in the beginning and just focus on email. And as you get more advanced, you can do SMS. Or if you're really good at social media, go ahead and do social media. I have a number of students in my class that have successfully implemented these strategies. Tony, who's actually now my business partner, she actually made 25K in her first 3 months and made 100,000 in her first holiday season. Chelsea, she was actually 100% Amazon before she signed up for my class. But I helped her move over to her own site, and she started making 6 figures on both Amazon and her own online store over at Life and Limb Gel. Another one of my students who was 100% Amazon before he met me used to sell plastic molding materials over at Polyplastics, and now he has his own online store as well. Carmen, she started Viscosa.com in Australia and grew it to a 6-figure business only through Facebook, so only through social media. Another one of my students, Angelique, she sells jewelry. I'm not sure how many of you guys out there want to sell jewelry, but she makes 6 figures without paying for advertising, and she does most of her stuff through Instagram and I believe TikTok. A different Amanda, she started shopaminiatures.com. This is actually a drop shipping store that makes 6 figures selling dollhouse supplies. And again, she gets all of her traffic through search engine optimization. And hopefully what I've shown you guys here is that there is life beyond Amazon. Amazon is great for cash flow, but starting your own website gives you a lot more flexibility and a lot more longevity with your business. It's actually not that difficult to get started. It's not that risky, and you can actually build your own successful e-commerce business without any prior knowledge. Nothing that I've showed you is theory. I've shown you real students in my class, and you can check out their websites if you want, or you can check out my website to see how I've done it over at Bumblebee Linens as well. And you can do this completely on the side. You don't need to be technical. Someone asked about money. If you want to do private label, I would recommend that you have at least $2,000 to $3,000 saved. Okay. If you want to do any of the other business models like drop shipping or traditional wholesale, the amount you need is less. But for private label, which is mainly what we talked about today, I would say $2,000 to $3,000. But the key to remember here is that you want to be starting a brand, because that's the only way that you're going to last. If you find some random product on Amazon, and if it becomes too popular, it's almost like the kiss of death, because someone's going to knock you off. So you almost want to kind of stay under the radar and go for base hits when you're looking for products if Amazon is your primary strategy. Okay, so you can take what I've taught you guys today, and which was a pretty good overview in my opinion, or you can get some coaching. And there's obviously a lot of details that I couldn't cover in just an hour. So as part of today's promotion, I'm also offering you guys it should actually say 3-day, apologize for the typo. It is a 3-day e-commerce store workshop where I kind of go over all these things that are necessary to launch your own branded site. So you'll learn how to choose the right e-commerce business model. So yeah, the business model, there's a number of them. Like you could do drop shipping, you can do traditional wholesale, you can do private label, you can sell on Amazon. Teach you how to research and source profitable products. We didn't talk about like the whole dealing with supplier side. That's covered in this workshop as well. And how to create a high converting website that generates sales, and then how to avoid the common mistakes. I'm also giving away a 3-day print on demand workshop. If you have a very low budget to start, print on demand is actually a pretty good way to kind of dip your toes in the water. It's probably not going to be like a huge money maker for you. But again, if you're on a low budget and you're pretty creative, starting a print on demand store is a pretty good bet. Okay, so in this workshop, I talk about all the things that you need to start with print on demand for pretty much free, actually for $3 essentially, and how to generate sales for your print on demand products without paying for any advertising, and how to create a high converting website. Also give you guys a free 60-minute Zoom call with me. I think the last time I did this, the Zoom call only had like 10 people. So you get a lot of time with me where I can just answer your questions. I sell physical products. I sell digital products. I run a podcast, a blog. I run my own live event over the Seller Summit. I do affiliate marketing. I run all my own advertising campaigns, Facebook, Google, and Amazon. You can ask me anything that you want for an hour. I also have a private Facebook group where you can join and ask me questions and interact with other students in the class as well. And I give weekly live office hours in this class, and you will get access to 3 months of the weekly live sessions where you can, it's kind of like this format that we're doing now. There's a live chat where you can ask me questions in real time. In addition, I'm going to give you a full step-by-step tutorial on how to set up a high converting website for just $3 a month. And I've actually designed a free template for you, and I'm giving you the graphics so that you can actually replicate my kids store over at kidincharge.com. You guys are welcome to check out my kids site. I think it's a pretty good looking site, but I'm essentially giving you that template so you can get started. Now, as a special bonus also, this company called Doula is going to give you a free consult on how to launch a US-based company. This is if you're overseas and you want to, create a US-based entity, you can get a free one-on-one consult with Doula. And also AMZ Scout is offering 1 free product analysis. So they will analyze whatever product niche that you choose and give you their opinion before you get started. Okay, and they typically charge $99 for this. Okay, and also as part of this package, you get the full AMZ Scout annual plan toolset. So you get the extension, which is what I showed you earlier, that tells you approximately how much every product's making on the front page of Amazon for a given search. And you also, what I didn't show you guys is it also gives you a score on how good that product niche is, what the profit level is, what the demand is, and it assesses the competition for you as well. And it will also tell you like a little history of how well that product's been selling. And remember how I told you guys to avoid seasonal products? You can actually look at the product history to make sure that it's not all the sales are made during a given time of year. Okay. And there's a bunch of other stats that I didn't really talk about today, but you get the sales estimates, which is probably the most important. The ratings and reviews, the Amazon fees that are projected. You can do keyword research as well with the tool. And let's see, the product database is what I showed you guys earlier. Like if you're absolutely stuck figuring out what to sell, the product database can give you some good ideas to brainstorm upon. Just like that pegboard example, I literally found it through the Amazon AMZ Scout product database. One thing I didn't show you also, there are these tabs for new products and trending products. If you click on trending, for example, it'll just show you products that are hot right now. And it'll also show you a bunch of new products that are recently released, less than 2 weeks ago. I would say that the place where AMZ Scout excels as a tool is just for product research. Like if you don't know what to sell, it's actually a pretty good product research tool. You can also do a reverse ASIN lookup. I didn't give an example of this in today's workshop, but if there's a product that you see on Amazon, like a competitor, you can enter in that ASIN and it will tell you which keywords that product is ranking for and approximately how many sales they're getting from it. There's also a keyword tool that's really useful when it comes time to create your Amazon listing. You can find out which keywords that you want to target and put in your titles and bullet points to make sure that you rank in Amazon search. Okay, and AMZ Scout has been around for a while. It's gotten a lot of rave reviews from people. Okay, and this tool set is also included in the package, and normally they charge $379. They're also giving away AMZ Scout Insights, which is the top 1% of product and niches selected by out of millions of items on Amazon. And it's delivered to your inbox every single week. You also get their monthly Amazon trend reports that covers growing niches and trending products. So you can get an idea of what products are trending and whatnot. And that's usually sold for $500. You will also get a copy of my book, which is coming out May 16th, 2023. It's called The Family First Entrepreneur: How to Achieve Financial Freedom Without Sacrificing What Matters Most. I run 2 7-figure businesses, but I only work 20 hours a week. And all the principles on how I operate things are actually in this book. And by getting this book, you will also get access to a free 6-week online business challenge where I will work with you for 6 straight weeks in a group format, and also be throwing a bunch of book parties around the US, of which you guys will be invited as well. Okay, so you get the e-commerce store workshop, you get the print-on-demand workshop, you get a 60-minute Zoom call with me, you get 3 months of email support, 3 months of weekly live group coaching, you get the AMZ Scout package, you get the free product analysis, and the free one-on-one consult with Doula, and it's only going to cost you $599. If you were to add up the value of all these products, it would be $9,500. And you can get this offer by clicking the button in the chat if you want to take advantage of this. Okay, the question is, can you start with just the $379 product, and how many logins do you get? I believe that is a question for AMZ Scout. If you want to play full price for their tool, you are more than welcome to do so. There won't be any discount there. I think you only get 1 login. Can you repeat how much on average it takes to start? I would say if you're going to do private label, $2,000 to $3,000 minimum. By the way, the trademark for your own online store is not necessary. On Amazon, it's also not necessary, but it makes it a hell of a lot easier because you need a trademark to get brand registry. Do you teach your students all different strategies across different ad traffic platforms and for different products with different demos? I do. It's not a volume class that I run. So there's a lot of like case-by-case instruction, because depending on the type of product, different strategies wouldn't apply. Like, for example, if you're selling apparel, I probably would never run Google ads for apparel because those keywords are just going to be too expensive. So a lot of these things are, as I mentioned before, there's no like strict set of rules when it comes to e-commerce, right? It all just kind of depends on different factors. Do you think that SMS and email are successful for you more so because of your customer demo? Oh, no, absolutely not. If you come to Seller Summit, you'll meet everyone does email. Yeah, email works for almost everything, email and SMS. Give me an example and I'll let you know my opinion. Okay, I'm not sure why you mentioned earlier that Amazon makes it difficult for creating new brands. Is it true that Amazon encourages you to have your own brand and incentivizes you to go brand registry? Okay. It makes it difficult for you to establish a strong brand. is what I said. Like if you go on shopping on Amazon, you'll notice that the brand name is these tiny little characters in the upper left. Sure, you can create a brand, and Amazon's doing they're improving actually. Amazon allows you to have a brand page. I would never personally drive any traffic to my brand page. I would just much rather drive it to my own website because I have full control over the customer information when someone buys. You don't get that on Amazon. Let's see. You can find how to find an inspector. I always use Kima, Qima. It'll cost you around $300 for an inspection. Let's see. If you find a product and invest to make it better from a supplier in China, the supplier will simply steal this idea and sell it on their own. That can happen. It could happen. But usually what you want to do is here's just some tricks. You can have the supplier, like let's say you design something that's plastic. You can actually have your brand a part of the mold. That'll prevent that from happening. Or you can register a copyright. And so that if you ever find that someone tries to sell that exact same product as something that you've registered a copyright for, you can get it taken down. But again, it can happen. It does happen. But if you develop a good relationship with your vendor, it won't happen. Like our vendors always tell us if someone's come knocking on their door looking for something that we sell, because we have such a good relationship with them. Can we make money on low-end computer products? Okay, computer products are difficult. Unless you're talking about like selling used computer equipment, you can probably make a couple bucks here and there. But the problem with that type of business is that you're never going to have like you're always going to be on the search for new products, right? You're never going to have like this stable product family that you can sell for years. Like we've been selling the same products for over a decade now in our store. Same suppliers, that sort of thing. Okay, what software do you use for the sweepstakes? Yeah, we use a tool called Viral Sweep. But if you're talking about the giveaways that I showed you here, ManyChat is actually a very inexpensive tool that depends on the number of Messenger subscribers that you have. Okay, I paid for a t-shirt mastermind course, still within 30 days, can get money back. You said it won't be a big money earner. I'm not sure what to do. I mean, I'm just being realistic. Like if you do print on demand, let's say you can charge $20 a t-shirt. The t-shirt's going to cost you like $12 to have it printed. So you make a profit of $8. I mean, it really just depends on what your income goals are, right? So I don't want to tell you not to do something. Absolutely not. There are people I know that do well selling t-shirts. I'm just saying that it's not going to probably make you millions of dollars. It could make you six figures. And if that's your income goal, then that's great. Okay, the trade shows that you mentioned, meeting with Chinese suppliers in the USA. No, that's in China, the ones that I go to. How many products on Amazon do you need to be able to run a six-figure business? That depends. I mean, if you hit a home run, you can do it in like one or two products. I wouldn't bank on that though. Realistically, I'd say maybe, I don't know, it's hard for me to make these estimates here, but I don't know, 10 products, 5 to 10 products. Okay, if on a budget and for lower risk, is it better to start as a wholesale seller piggybacking off of big brands? Here's what I don't like about piggybacking off of big brands. You're not establishing anything for yourself, right? This is what I consider wholesale like retail arbitrage in a way. It's better than retail arbitrage, but you're selling someone else's brand. You don't have anything to show for it. Really, the only way you make money as a wholesale seller is based on your relationships with the wholesale supplier. And those types of deals come and go. You're not establishing any brand at that point and no long-term potential. So I would say, I mean, I'm not in your shoes, so I don't know what your income requirements are. If you just want to make some money and you don't want to think longer term, then by all means, go wholesale. Make the money that you need. But at some point, I think the long-term way to do it is to have your own brand. What's your opinion on FBM? I mean, if you want to do your own fulfillment, then go with FBM. The conversion rate is just going to be less because you're not going to get Prime. Okay, there are a lot of brands starting Amazon. Those sellers sell their Amazon business for a seven-figure check. What are your thoughts about that? That happened during the pandemic. I think that ship has sailed. If you look at companies like Thrasio, they're hurting big time now. Like the multiples for Amazon businesses shot up during the pandemic, but now they're all back down to earth. Okay, sorry, let me scroll back up here. Is it easy to start an Amazon.com store when you live outside the US? I'll tell you what my students do. I usually recommend that they start selling on Amazon in their country first, learn the ropes before expanding out to the US. Does Lego good investment on Amazon FBA? I don't think you're allowed to sell Legos on Amazon without permission. So the answer is no. I wouldn't do it. Do you generally pay more to a supplier to improve the product? Yes. Yes. Almost always. Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're making it better, usually it requires an additional cost. How long does it take to usually start from scratch to establish your own brand? The fastest I've ever seen anyone in my class do it was 3 months to make money. Establishing a brand, like the way you phrase that question is a little ambiguous. Like, what does it mean to establish a brand? I would say to make money, the fastest is probably 3 months, I would say. More realistically, I would give yourself at least a year. Do you trust the inspectors you can get from Alibaba? I have never used an inspector from Alibaba, unless you're talking about like the assessed suppliers. Even then, I think it's a third party. I've never used an Alibaba inspector. Well, the universe, you're a very, very skeptical person, I can tell. There's only so much that can be covered in an hour. So at a high level, you know what you need to do. I don't think this is generic at all. I would argue that very few people are using the ManyChat giveaway flow because I wrote that myself by hand. Very few people are using the same email flows and SMS combination flows that I use in my store. You guys are all welcome to check it out. Universe, I think you're just a skeptical person. You are more than welcome to check out my student stores or my store. Okay, it says 60-minute Zoom group call. Individual, it's only for 10. Yeah, you know, these group calls get a little bit full. Like if you have a group call with like so many people, then it gets a little out of hand. I would say, I'd say at most we can do like 15 or 20 at most. It's written the first 10 people here, but let's do the first 20. I think that's like the absolute max, the first 20. And maybe someone from AMZ Scout can kind of tell you whether it's still available or not. I suspect it'll still be available. Do you have to create a website first before you sell on Amazon? You don't. You don't. In fact, I recommend that you start on Amazon first before you create your own website. So I do have a couple of words to say. And Barbara was absolutely correct. Your attitude determines your success level. And I do want to say a couple of things. Like I talked about a lot of things today, and it can sound overwhelming. Just keep in mind, I've been doing this for a long time. What I presented to you today is not like the bare minimum. Like the bare minimum is literally you find a product to sell, you list it on Amazon. Once you know that you're going to follow through, start your website, start collecting emails, and then from there, it just kind of gradually builds over time. This is not a get rich quick thing. It really isn't. But you'll learn a hell of a lot along the journey, I guarantee you. And you'll create a lasting business that can last a long time. Are you supplying the email templates and workflow to use as a model on our stores? Thank you for your time. Very complete webinar. I mean, I could give them to you, but honestly, they're for handkerchiefs, right? I mean, you got to write your own emails. And they're going to be very specific to the way you want to present your brand. How long does it typically take to touch success with just drop ship? Okay, I'm going to tell you guys straight up, I'm not a big fan of drop shipping. Not only are you selling someone else's product, but your margins are not going to be that high. And so you're at a disadvantage from both a cost standpoint as well as a brand standpoint. I would say the only way to make drop shipping work really is through content creation and maybe social media. In order to build your own brand, the products you choose should be in the same category. Yes. Sorry if that wasn't clear. Yeah, you don't want to sell a whole bunch of random products. You always want to build upon a family of products. That way you can cross-sell them later. That's the reason why you want to do that. Do you help with learning how to market on Facebook? Yeah, I mean, in my full class, What I'm offering here as part of this deal isn't my full class, just to be clear. In my full class, I teach Facebook marketing, yes, Facebook ads. And I have this whole workshop. I'll just be straight up with you guys. Like to run Facebook ads well, you have to, it's all about the creative. And in order to put out good creative, it takes a little bit of practice and a set of rules. Like I have a workshop strictly also on how to create good creative, just for Facebook ads. My full class, I don't want to sell my full class here today to you guys. The deal we're talking about is AMC Scout. If you want to talk to me about that, just talk to me outside of this. Just feel free to send me an email and I'll reply. Yeah, my full class covers Amazon and e-commerce store. Basically everything I do in my own store, I teach in my full class. I wouldn't say min 6 to 8K. I don't like making general statements like that. Because it really just depends on your cost of goods. I would say that if your product costs like $4, like I have a post that I can send you guys that just kind of outlines your costs. I don't count like the trademarks in there because you don't explicitly need the trademark. In fact, we didn't trademark our stuff for, man, I want to say a couple of years after we started. We also did not have an LLC for our first year. So, I mean, if you want to factor all those things in, like realistically, like the trademark, you can handle that yourself. I think the minimum filing is $275. LLC is like just a couple $100 too, if you want to do it yourself. I mean, it just really depends, right? So if we don't factor those in, like the cost of the product and like a bare minimum tool, like if you want to get started, I would say the bare minimum, you need a product research tool that'll help you on Amazon. So really it's predominantly your cost of goods, I would say, if you want to start a private label brand, just to get started. Of course, if you want the full package, you could spend 6 to 8K easy if you want. The way I teach it is a lot of people who sign up for my class are on a budget, or they're a little squeamish. So the way I kind of teach things is to go in very baby steps, right? Like try to order as small as possible and try to sell things on eBay to convince yourself to place that larger order. And only once you're ready to place that larger order do you start working on the other stuff. So, I mean, it just depends, I would say. What's your input on electrician tools and I'm not a huge fan of electronics unless you're used to selling, because if you're getting electronics from China, like there's like a Q&A process there. Like I used to be an electrical engineer. That was my profession. And we used to have stuff made over there, and you just got to be careful. Like if this is your first gig, I wouldn't do it. Like I could probably handle it now myself since that's my background, but there's just a lot of things that can go wrong. The less moving parts, the better. If this is your first time. Bed sheets, probably saturated. I mean, you can make it work. Okay, so here's the other thing I was going to say. You can probably make anything work with good marketing outside of Amazon. Like bed sheets is not going to work on Amazon. Probably not. Unless you have some amazing design or something special. But I have a friend who runs Miracle Bed Sheets, and they make millions of dollars selling bed sheets because of marketing, right? I mean, remember that statement I made earlier? Everything that's being sold today is pretty much a commodity. It's up to you to make it special. For example, well, we sell handkerchiefs, right? Handkerchiefs are a commodity, but we spun it and started selling handkerchiefs for weddings, for funerals. It's really how you spin your product. And I'm just talking about this off Amazon, obviously. On Amazon, you have to do it based on keywords, which is a little bit more limiting. Office products is way too general of a question. You need to get down to the specific product and keyword in order for me to give you an opinion. Are there any hidden costs? Okay. I would say don't skip steps. If you skip steps, then you could run into trouble. Like skipping the inspection, for example. I mean, there's always things that can go wrong. I'm not going to tell you that. But mostly when things go wrong, it's when you skip steps. Time frame for getting samples from Alibaba. I would say we get samples. It typically takes like 5 to 10 days to get samples. Full order really just depends. I don't know. For us, it's about 3 months. How do you negotiate reduction in price from $10 to $3? You're never going to be able to do that. You're never going to be able to negotiate an Alibaba supplier from $10 down to $3. Most of the time when you negotiate, we're talking like 10%, 5 to 10%. Or you negotiate volume discounts up front. If a supplier is not willing to go down, it's probably just not the supplier for you. Do I think product research is the hardest part? No. The harder part is marketing, but that's the fun part, I think. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, everything's a commodity. You can make anything work if you're creative. Really. I mean, I have students who sell apparel, jewelry. I mean, it's all about marketing. Off Amazon, I should say. Can non-technical people like me learn from your course? I would say almost everyone in my full class is non-technical. It is rare to have someone technical in the class. And the problem with being technical, it's actually a disadvantage to be an engineer, because as an engineer, you're trained to like not move forward until you have all the answers, which is like the antithesis of what entrepreneurship is all about. So majority of the people in my class are not technical. And ironically, it's the technical people that I have the most problems with, because even though they're very capable of doing all this stuff, they second guess themselves. So it's a trade-off. What do you think about selling products in a saturated market with the theory that there's plenty to share? Again, if you're not a good marketer, then you have to focus more on the product side. If you're a good marketer, then your product doesn't have to be perfect. That's all I have to say on that. Yeah. How about home improvement products? So as you guys are giving me these products, like you got to think in terms of keywords if you're trying to do Amazon, and then use a tool like AMZ Scout. Punch them in. Just use that method I just taught you to see how competitive it really is. But Richie, all those things that you specified, way commonplace, way saturated. I wouldn't do it. Okay, I actually have dinner plans, guys. I apologize. But I do know that there's going to be a replay for this. And yeah. Oh, and there's a 10-day refund guarantee. Thank you for advancing it. If you have any questions, you can contact support. I gave out my email. You guys are more than welcome to email me there. I get a lot of email though. So just to be clear, just give me at least 48 hours to respond. And just to go over this special once again, you get the e-commerce store workshop. It's 3 days or 3 hours. Print on demand workshop if you guys are on a budget. 60-minute Zoom call for the first 20 people. Okay. I think that's the max. First 20 people. 3 months of email support, 3 months of group coaching. You get a taste of what my full class is like. You get the AMZ Scout full plan set for $379. And you get a bonus product analysis where AMZ Scout will analyze your niche and give you their opinion. And you get the Doula's bonus, which is a free consult. I think this mainly targets people outside the US who want to start a US entity. And all that for only $599. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed today's presentation, and I hope to see you guys on the inside. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for your questions. You got a lot of good questions here from you guys today.